Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another TheeSportsScoop video. The offseason continues. Obviously, one of the craziest free agency periods we've had in a very, very long time, if not the craziest. I still haven't really processed it, but today we're going to be talking about why I think it would be very plausible for the New York Jets to go target in a trade Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf. If you guys have been following along with the NFL, which I'm sure people who are watching this video have been, we saw that the Seahawks traded Russell Wilson to the Broncos and then proceeded to cut their star middle linebacker Bobby Wagner, going into kind of full rebuild mode. And if you guys know DK Metcalf, you know the Seahawks, you know both Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson were two of the biggest mentors for DK Metcalf. So now really the question becomes, would he want to leave? Who would go for him? And today we're just happening to do the New York Jets. Just want to preface, I'm a Giants fan. I've been giving a lot of credit to the Jets recently. Don't worry, I'm still a Giants fan, but I do think this would be a very good option for the Jets. Obviously, a big receiver. We'll be getting into all that. Make sure you guys follow us on social media for more free agency news, updates. Subscribe. Our draft live stream is coming. More mock drafts to come. More free agency stuff to come soon. So make sure you guys are tuned in because we will be reporting it all. And without further ado, let's break it all down. All right, so just obviously, as I said earlier, I want to confirm this is definitely not some kind of confirmed will happen type thing. It's it's obviously definitely just me being skeptical, kind of just proposing it might happen. You obviously see the graphic on screen. You know, there's no ESPN who are reporting this, but I think if I'm the New York Jets right now, you're looking at what would the value be for DK Metcalf. I don't think he's worth a first-round pick. I don't think he had a sensational season this year. I think he had a good season, but definitely a little bit of a drop. And obviously we know didn't have a consistent quarterback play with Russell Wilson being out with the finger injury, but definitely a little bit of a drop-off. So did Tyler Lockett. So it's definitely not that kind of thing. And again, Tyler Lockett, another one of those guys who may be traded. But I think if you're the New York Jets, you look at really what Zach Wilson was missing last year. And this might be controversial, but I do think he was missing that safe pair of hands and a really safe pair of hands. You know, the guy who and I know DK's not, I know DK's not, you can't really define him as safe pair of hands. I know he drops it, but he was missing a number one receiver to get to the point. He was really missing that number one guy. I really like Corey Davis, and I think they tried as much as they can for him to be that guy. Unfortunately, he was not. Elijah Moore was a rookie, looked great. I think he could end up, I mean, I don't think Elijah Moore will end up being a wide receiver one, but I think he will be a fantastic slot receiver. But I think they're missing that kind of classic, old school, big, physical guy for Zach Wilson. And here's the thing. They might go get a guy like Treylon Burks, Drake London in the draft, in which, you know, obviously they wouldn't have traded for DK Metcalf by then, but that might be where they're thinking. But if I'm the New York Jets right now, if you can trade a second, a third for DK Metcalf, I think it would be great value. I think, you know, obviously the Jets have 2 first-round picks, so I think, you know, you're looking kind of at you're looking at what makes sense at this point for the Seahawks, or for if you're the Jets. And I think DK Metcalf makes a ton of sense. I think he fits that kind of the offensive scheme that the Jets want. And we know it's a little bit more, obviously, with LaFleur, it's a little bit more West Coast in the East Coast, if that makes sense. You know, a little bit more aired out. I think they'll start to trust Zach Wilson much more throwing the ball, and you still have Michael Carter there in his second year, who he looked very good. And I think DK Metcalf, again, adds a kind of security blanket, but also adds that, you know, and maybe not even adds a security blanket, but you have Corey Davis who's underneath, and then you have DK Metcalf who's obviously that just burner down the field. You know, obviously we know how much speed he has, and just physical receiver who, you know, obviously I think he goes into a team with a great coaching staff. So I think it would make a ton of sense. And I think, again, if you're the New York Jets, it's all about Zach Wilson at this point. And again, like I'm saying, maybe they go target a guy in the draft, which might be more realistic because DK will probably want a big contract. Obviously, his year's coming up. It might be next. I'm not sure when his year is. He was drafted 2 years ago, so his contract year is in the near future. But again, I think it makes a ton of sense because I don't think, and I might be wrong, I don't think the value for DK Metcalf would be a first-round pick. Obviously, we know Devontae Adams is a first-round pick. There's a significant difference between the two. I don't think they would have to go and give up a first-rounder for DK Metcalf. But here's the thing. If they did, would it really be that much of a, oh, my God, why did you do that, right? Because I think it almost comes down to you're either getting DK Metcalf or going getting a guy like Drake London, Treylon Burks. And that could very much be Jets fans. And I don't even know if I would choose DK Metcalf over those two guys. But I do think that DK, and again, this article says if they were to put him on the trade block, I think he's kind of is. I think they've been they might be getting some calls for DK Metcalf, and I think the Jets would be very, very promising to receive, to go and get DK Metcalf at the end of the day, because I think, and I'm kind of circling back to the same thing. If you want Zach Wilson to be successful, go get him an established, we know can make big plays receiver. And look, and I might be controversial or being controversial because why wasn't Corey Davis that guy? Corey Davis was the established guy, and I think he was, but we always knew Corey Davis was in the shadow of AJ Brown. Corey Davis was a great receiver, but no one was ever considering him to be elite per se. And again, that depends on what your definition of elite is. He was always a very good receiver, and I think the Jets were trusting that he would go to New York and become the elite receiver, become the guy without AJ Brown, break out without AJ Brown. And I could be very wrong. Maybe he does next year. And he definitely wasn't bad this year, but obviously not what they were expecting in year one. They were expecting him to be the reason that Zach Wilson, becomes successful. They obviously got Elijah Moore. But again, I think it adds, you plug in DK Metcalf to that team and that receiving core, including the tight ends who they brought in Conklin and Uzama, they have everything. You have Elijah Moore, the speedy slot guy, and Braxton Berrios, and then you go get a guy like, or you have Corey Davis, who's kind of that, just kills teams underneath that real safe pair of hands, the guy who kills people underneath the intermediate routes. And you have DK Metcalf, who's just the threat, the X factor on that offense, who we know has bursting speed, and we know who can, obviously burn down the field. And then again, DK Metcalf, we know has a little bit of the, and I think why it would be worth it. And again, I'm stuttering because it's very hard to propose a trade that not a lot of people have speculated about. And again, this is speculation, but I think DK Metcalf's kind of cons of dropping are definitely mitigated a little bit by what the Jets already have at receiver with the safe pair of hands of Corey Davis. And then you have Uzama, who we know is that big body guy who can kind of run curl routes, get the ball. And then you have Michael Carter. They re-signed Tevin Coleman. And then again, they'll have those draft picks, so you can go. And obviously the offensive line's been upgraded. So again, I think at the end of the day, this might not happen, and this might make literally no sense. But if I'm the New York Jets, I think that the potential upside that the potential upside physically, just playing wise, that DK Metcalf brings to that team, he just adds a kind of physical side to that receiving core, which again, at the end of the day, I feel like we didn't see. I think we saw that as a receiving core get pushed around a lot this season. And we know DK Metcalf brings that fire, brings that energy, and a guy who is so hard to tackle. And again, I think what's so important for rookie quarterbacks is adding dimensions to your offense. We're seeing Jacksonville do it with Trevor Lawrence going at Christian Kirk, get Zay Jones. Obviously, were they the smartest signings? No. But, if you're the Jets, bringing DK Metcalf as a true wide receiver one. And then again, the argument comes down to, as I've said, do you want to go get a guy like Treylon Burks or a Drake London and take a chance there instead of having to give up value for DK Metcalf? But it's kind of what do you like as an NFL fan? Are you a guy who trusts more in established players or trusts more in upside of players in the draft? And I don't even know what I would say there, because I think, Treylon Burks, Drake London offers so much as prospects, but we just know how good DK is. And then again, I think he fits kind of Zach Wilson's the range, what Zach Wilson likes to throw. And then again, I think it just adds so much, because now Zach Wilson, and again, I think it was a great example in their game against the Patriots. What they're lacking at receiving core is honestly, it was at the end of the day just getting open. And again, and DK Metcalf isn't necessarily the guy who's just going to be open all the time, but he's the kind of guy who attracts double teams. You getting Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, and having depth at receiving core, and then having guys who can distract players, it just adds so much to an offense. And like I said, if you're Zach Wilson, you need that right now in your career, because I think Zach Wilson's at a point this year where it's going to be a crucial year. Obviously, we know that, but rookie year, balance out a little bit. And then that third year, maybe you break out. And a ton of people are saying, we want the Jets to be contenders. The Jets will be contending for a playoff spot. And I think you get DK Metcalf into this offense, and it really becomes a top 15 offense. Like, you really get some intimidation into that offense if you go and trade for him. Again, I don't know what the value would be for DK Metcalf, but I think it makes a ton of sense for your New York. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below if you're Jets fans. I don't know. Do you think that DK Metcalf would make sense to be traded to the New York Jets? Do you think that they shouldn't? What do you think the value for him would? I still need some input on if this makes sense. So by all means, let me know down below if I got anything wrong or if I stammered a little bit, stuttered, and didn't make sense. I apologize, but let me know down below. And again, more videos to come. Dylan's mock draft is not uploaded, but it will be uploaded soon. It's on our YouTube studio. We just need to post it, and more mock drafts. And always, our draft live stream is coming. Make sure you guys get ready for that. Tune into that when it does happen, and as well, more streams to come. We'll hopefully be getting some more live streams. As we've been saying, a lot of schoolwork, so we're trying to balance it all. But I'm Key McDermott. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.